The feedback on my previous video was pretty positive, which motivated me enough to make a video on the DLCs earlier than I planned. I recorded that line like right after I made that video. It's funny how poorly it's aged. Same rules as before apply. First, no running, lest you slip and slide through the bloodstains on the floor. I mapped the run button to L to avoid doing so by accident. Second, I must get whatever is considered the best ending. That means getting the normal ending for Karamari Hospital and the good ending for the Dollhouse. Additionally, I have a secret third rule that I'll implement as a last resort. I'll explain what this rule is when it becomes relevant. But with that being said, let's start by making our way through the first of the two DLCs, the Karamari Hospital.
Well, good luck.
Hey, thanks, Spooky. So since nothing else is happening, I'm going to take this time to explain some things. Immediately, I have a confession to make. I hadn't finished either DLC before attempting this challenge. I decided to fix that by doing a casual run of both before attempting the challenge. Little did I know how important this decision would end up being. Karamari Hospital is a pretty short extra campaign, which is fine, that's usually the case for DLCs, but in my case, it's honestly really nice because it means I won't be spending 4 hours just walking through rooms. In fact, my casual run was actually pretty quick in my opinion, especially when compared to the main game challenge run. I like to play games blind the first time around, only allowing myself to use research after that first run. And for a blind run, I don't remember how long exactly it took, but I think it was faster than Runless Siren. And now, allowing myself to use research, this should go pretty quick, all things considered. Anyway, the start of the run is just collecting a bunch of keys to get to different areas. I'm talking over a lot of the footage because it's pretty quick when you already know where all of them are. So I'm going to avoid talking about the story of the game, and instead say that if you're interested in that, play the game yourself. But regardless, go to break room, get office key, go to office, get maintenance key, go to maintenance room, turn off the power to unlock the electric doors, save. Trust me, that last part's important. And now we're able to reach the first enemy, the security guard. He stands in front of the door we need to get through and doesn't move until you leave and come back. He's not very fast. The only risk he poses is the fact that it's hard to judge where he is in the dark, and he's caught me by surprise multiple times for that reason, but I have yet to take a hit to him in an actual run, so you should be fine. Going down to the other side of the basement, we enter the morgue. Here, we grab the medallion before entering the hardest challenge yet, the body bag. It is way too fast to outwalk, it's just not happening. The game even knows how impossible it is, because it gives you unlimited stamina in specifically this section in order to be able to escape. And when he does catch up to you, he deals 45 damage within increments of only 1 second. And they added this guy to endless mode? Come on. Anyway, you know the drill. Time to do some research. It deals only 20 damage as opposed to 45 in the original, but I only have the DLC for the HD renovation. I don't think lower damage would make it possible anyway. The cooldown is still way too fast. I did, however, find something else on that wiki page that caught my attention. And now it's time to reveal that other rule that I mentioned earlier. The new official bonus challenge, minimum uses of the sword. The sword is unlocked by beating Karamari Hospital for the first time, and it's accessible in the same hallway as the second key. We'll use this sword as a last resort to kill the dead body and continue with this challenge as if nothing happened. Now, using the medallion we found, we use it to unlock another entrance to the basement, where the third monster shows its ugly face. If only the box wasn't see-through. Anyway, the floating baby head is slow and not worth talking about. What is worth talking about is what comes immediately after. We grab the key to the isolation room, and the fourth monster, the Hanged Man, shows himself. It might seem difficult if you don't know how the Hanged Man works, but the reality is, it's a weeping angel just like Specimen 6. It still moves when being looked at, just much slower. It may also seem like a maze to get back, but it's actually simple. The fastest way there involves taking the right door, going left down the hallway, and going straight the whole way. And the way back involves just going back the way you came. Not too hard, just don't take too long down there. Heading back up, we immediately head to the isolation room where Monster 5 supposedly hides, but I think it saw what happened to the body bag and didn't want the same thing to happen to it. Yeah, that must be the reason I didn't see it. Yeah. It's definitely not because I used a map to navigate the maze. Definitely not. We grab the exit key, talking to the... According to the wiki, it says it's a demon child. Sure. We grab the exit key, talking to the demon child to ensure we got the right ending, and make our way out of the hospital, proving that it is possible to beat the Karamari Hospital DLC without running. As long as you're willing to commit a murder in order to do so.
Oh, there you are.
We're not done yet, though. That was only half the challenge. Now we move on to the second DLC, the Dollhouse. Immediately worth pointing out is a very important new mechanic. Healing in this DLC is different. Instead of healing automatically, the doll that you carry around through the campaign heals you when you left-click while holding it. Because of the fact that healing is limited, most enemies usually don't deal that much damage anyway. We start out in a similar way to the Karamari Hospital, going around and unlocking doors throughout the house. Except this time, enemies are a bit more common. The dolls that roam the halls are very common, and are more so minor enemies than proper specimens. You first encounter them after getting the West Wing key, and they're not much of a threat. As long as you're not holding the doll, you could take them out with the axe. And if you are holding the doll, you could just take the damage boost without needing to worry too much. Using the West Wing key, we make our way to the first major enemy of the dollhouse, Waluigi doll. We take the key in front of it, and then it becomes active, but you can walk back and grab our doll fast enough that it won't even see you before we close the door on it. Upon leaving, he shows up in the hallway outside. Turns out, as long as you don't stop moving, the only time he might end up hitting you is right when you try to walk past him. And again, he doesn't do much damage anyway, so you shouldn't need to worry about him. Moving right along, taking the key to the clock room and putting the right time into the clock will give you the wire cutters, giving you access to the second part of the house. This part is extremely short if you know what you're doing. We grab the doll hands from one side and bring them to the other side to burn them in the incinerator, which gives us the key to the third part of the house. Before we can get there, though, Spooky set up a trap for us, forcing us to fight a bunch of dolls before we can leave. Now, we don't have to fight them, but honestly, the whole challenge is kinda already about doing things slower, so what the hell, you should fight them. After walking past a clown that we've never seen before and never will again, we enter the third section of the house, GL Labs. We put the doll down and fall into the cellar. The second major enemy, the hooked doll, shows its non-existent face. But it doesn't try to attack us yet. Just play through as normal. Upon escaping the cellar, we find the doll, whose ability to heal has been completely sapped. It can be restored by bringing it to the tea room, which I recommend doing immediately. It's now possible to get the bad ending, but we aren't cowards. We go the extra mile. We need to go into a room with a summoning circle and interact with the computer to see that there are 3 candles missing. We need to go back to the cellar to grab them. On the way back to the cellar, we have to walk past Doll Luigi again, who can be avoided the same way as before. The hooked doll will attack us now that we're back in the cellar, but avoiding her is extremely easy. See, she is effectively the opposite of a weeping angel. She only moves if you look at her, so look away from her and you'll be perfectly safe to grab the black candles. 3 candles later, we reach the part that everyone's been waiting for, the Hellgate chase. We interact with the computer to see 3 familiar faces staring at us. Specimen 6, Specimen 8, and Specimen 11. we need to choose one specimen to go through another chase sequence against. If you saw the first video, Specimen 11 was the hardest part of the first challenge, and I've established that I'm not good at dealing with Specimen 6, so the choice seems pretty clear. Guess I should start explaining why I picked Specimen 11, huh? Alright, here's the deal. Specimen 6 is a pain in my ass, and Specimen 8 has something new added to this chase. Remember the deer that show up before it chases you? They now appear during his chase in the DLC, and I found those personally not super easy to avoid. But why Specimen 11 if he was easily the hardest part of the first run? Well, for one, he's susceptible to the axe. Hitting him with the axe teleports him back to the entrance of the room. This is a win button for us now, unlike last time, because hitting him as many times as we want no longer risks a bad ending. Second, the aforementioned things about both 6 and 8. Third, because of how much trouble he already caused, destroying him in the Hellgate makes for a pretty satisfying conclusion of the challenge. I mean, Specimen 6 would have also been satisfying, but my practice attempts at beating this chase didn't go so well. With all of that said, we seal the Hellgate, destroying the Runless demon, and there is now nothing stopping us from getting the good ending. Taking the doll into the nightmare sequence, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that you can't actually die in here, but I avoided testing it either way. It's pretty easy. After shooting Spooky and walking out of the lab, you might get a minor heart attack at seeing a 35-second timer to get to the escape train. Trust me, I did too. But it's actually not that bad. Just stay on the move, say hi to that one endless mode specimen in the same amount of time it takes for you to say goodbye to it, and we prove that it is possible to beat Spooky's Dollhouse without running. Gotta say, it was really fun playing through all the Spookies again. Experiencing the full game in a new way, as well as experiencing the DLCs for the first time, I thoroughly enjoyed this challenge. If you haven't already, I recommend trying out the challenge yourself, since the difficulty isn't actually as high as you might expect. Overall, I'd give it a 3 out of 10 in terms of difficulty. Let me know what I should do next in the comments. I'm hoping to do something other than just Spookies. I already have some possible challenges in mind. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.